I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden. Along with the sunshine, there's got to be a little rain sometime. But seeing as today there's no rain, I thought it'd be the perfect opportunity to share the Queensland State Rose Garden in historic Newton Park with you. And it is a late spring day here in Toowoomba, Queensland, where I've been calling home for the better part of the last 3 months. And I'd say that I stumbled upon this garden just recently, but the fact of the matter is that a absolutely lovely lady who's been providing me accommodations for the last few months asked me if I'd been to the rose garden yet. And I said, no, what rose garden? She said, oh, you must see the State Rose Garden. And I was just absolutely blown away when I came down here to see this beautiful gem here in the city of Toowoomba, known as the Garden City. And perhaps it's only fitting that they would have the State Rose Garden here in Toowoomba with the name the Garden City. So I'm just going to do a little morning walk and talk and bring you through this beautiful spot. It's just as you walk in, they've got a little pamphlet that you can take, and I'll share with you some of what that says. The history: designated as a breathing space for local people in the early 1900s, Newton Park has flourished into broad parklands which now include the Queensland State Rose Garden. The first garden plots were established in 2001 with the planting of 500 roses. Over the years, additional gardens have been developed with final major works completed in 2017. Isn't this something? It really is beautiful. Boy, this gives all new meaning to stop and smell the roses. And if I did stop and smell the roses, all the roses that are in this garden, I'd probably exceed my visa that is going to run out next March. But it says the Queensland State Rose Garden now holds the coveted World Federation of Rose Societies Award of Garden Excellence, issued in July of 2018. A commemorative plaque depicting the accolade is located in the front of the hall, known as the Rose Cottage. And I believe that I just actually walked past that. And then it goes on to talk about trial roses. The Queensland State Rose Garden plays an important role in the promotion and development of new roses by conducting trials for Australian breeders and for agents of overseas growers. It is the only garden in Australia to do so beyond Adelaide. Oh, this is a beautiful, beautiful spot. And it's just quiet morning. Look at these beautiful roses. Really beautiful. Plants are assessed and scored a dozen times over 2 years by a team of competent assessors who would ensure a robust commitment is maintained to achieve the highest standards in rose breeding. Boy, this is beautiful. And all these beds have a little plaque right in front of them, and you can read where all the different roses are. Apricot Nectar, 1964, Brandy Hybrid Tea, China Dow, Royal Dane. Now this will make, I should say, for just a wonderful drone video, flying the drone around the various rose beds here. I actually brought my drone down, and due to complications I'm not able to launch it this morning, but as I still have a lot of time here in Toowoomba, I'll come back and fly it. Look at these miniature little roses here. What a gem of a spot I ended up in during my visit here to Australia. And this is a place that just a lot of people just probably never heard of, Toowoomba. And I would imagine that there's probably some here in Toowoomba that are rather happy that that's the case. Try to keep this little beautiful spot to themselves. Just gorgeous. And they will give you they'll give you tours of the garden. Here they've got looks like a nice pavilion. They will actually give you tours of the garden. As I walk along, I continue reading the rose collections. Look at that beautiful tree right there. The Queensland State Rose Garden is custodian to part of the Ruston collection, comprising mostly of old tea, China, noisette, early hybrid tea, Pernitina, and Polyantha rose varieties. Probably butchering the names of some of those. Preservation of this unique collection is essential for the overall history, survival, and breeding of the rose, both nationally and internationally. Some of the Ruston collection varieties are unique to Australia. Boy, look at these trees. And you'll see they put these plastic bands around the base of the tree, and if I'm not mistaken, that is to keep critters out, like possums or what have you, that might go up and forage eggs in the tree. Look at that. Quite an expansive garden, and I was not sure, having just had several days of rather heavy rains, just what I would see coming down here to the garden. But it is not disappointing in the least. Really, really beautiful. And I can actually share a story with you as I walk along. When I was a little boy growing up on the shores of Lake Erie, or on the shore of Lake Erie, I should say, I had an uncle, and that uncle's name was Bob. And Uncle Bob was a favorite. He would just kind of pull into Cleveland sometimes on the Blue, and unannounced, and coming from different places in the world, and being a young boy with a desire to travel as I did, I was always fascinated to hear about, you know, where Uncle Bob was coming from, and what he had seen there, and what he had done there. Look at those beautiful. And so over the years, Uncle Bob would come in and out of our life. And one year, Uncle Bob pulled into town, and he had a woman with him that was every bit as beautiful as any of these roses that you're looking at here in this video. And her name was Mary Beth. And Mary Beth had a guitar, and she loved to just sit on the sofa in our house there, and she would play songs upon a request. And as I recall, some of the songs might be like I'm Leaving on a Jet Plane, and one of my favorites that I would ask her to to play time and time again as we go into the Heritage Roaches and Australia collection. One of the absolute favorites was the song, I Beg Your Pardon, I Never Promised You a Rose Garden. And boy, I used to have her sing that song over and over and over. And I don't know if she ever got tired of singing it. She sure didn't let on if she did, because there was always a beautiful smile on her face as she would be sitting there on the sofa with all of us kids sitting at her feet. Isn't this beautiful? I'm sure that my good friend Phil up in Michigan is just gonna really love seeing this video. He is a botanist, if I'm not mistaken. Look at that. Boy, there's no shortage of different flight paths, if you will. It's interesting, whereas I used to walk before I started flying a drone, I used to walk and I would visualize pictures in my head. I would frame pictures, but now I visualize flight paths. So I've gone from visualizing still photos to visualizing flight paths in my head. So I've shared just about most of the garden with you. I'm sure that you would be able to come here and take a tour and learn a lot more about the history of this special place, as well as the collection. Interesting information about the various roses here that you'll see in the garden. And as I find my way back, I'll share the entrance here to historic Newton Park. Look at that. Here's your entrance with the fountain. And that would probably be as good as any place to start a drone video flying in. So, historic Newton Park, right there. Very nice. And there's a nice view. Oh, it's a gorgeous morning. It really is beautiful. All right, have a wonderful day, folks. All right, and never let it be said that I didn't promise you or give you a rose garden. All right, have a great day. Take good care.